Today I'm going to talk about empaths, intuitives, psychics, healers, Reiki healers. No matter what it is you might be doing or your gift might be, I'm going to talk to you today about nutrition. Today we're going to talk about nutrition. That's kind of a different topic, but I want you guys to know that if you have any kind of a gift at all, whether you feel you're empathic, if you feel you're intuitive, you could be a practicing healer, a psychic, a medium, a Reiki healer. Your nutritional needs are different than everybody else's. So we are going to touch on that today. And is this crap any good for us? The tea and the coffee? All right, we're going to touch on a little bit of everything today. First off, we are going to talk about water and its importance if you are gifted. Everybody is drinking filtered water today. Whether you drink tap water that's been run through a filter, whether you're buying bottled water, most water today that we drink is filtered. Now, natural water, spring water, has an electrical charge already in the water. We understand about those electrons, those protons, those neutrons, and that stuff from back in school. So water actually has a natural charge to it. Once it is filtered, it has no charge. It is neutral. So when we drink that water, it goes into our system and pulls that charge out of the other minerals that's already in our body. So, in order to keep the water from pulling nutrients out of your system, take a couple grains of salt, just a couple grains, you don't need a lot, and put it in your water bottle. I put a couple grains of salt even in when I make my coffee, just to bring that water charge back up to where it should be, kind of a normal. And I do believe it is a positive charge, actually, but it helps bring that up to a positive charge. If you do any kind of healing work, now you might even be a beautician, because what you're doing is making people feel better. So you are doing energy work, whether you realize it or not. You could be a bartender. You make people feel better. Whatever it is that you might do to help people feel better, you are giving away your energy. You're helping them feel better. You're talking to your clients while you're working on them or with them. There is an exchange of energy that happens between you and anybody else that you're dealing with in the course of a day. And you need to have, absolutely, the next thing we're going to talk about, we just touched briefly on that, salt, okay, just to correct the water, are the minerals. Minerals, magnesium, potassium, and not so much calcium. We don't need a whole lot of calcium. It is a misconception about how much calcium we need. If you're eating correctly, and I am eating, I have been on the carnivore diet for quite a while now. I have a couple cheat days here and there, but I basically do carnivore. You need minerals. You need magnesium, selenium, copper. We need a wide variety of minerals. And the best way to get those minerals is with a natural supplement. And again, I'm going to suggest salt. I don't want you to be afraid of how much salt you're taking in. Some years back, the medical profession decided that when people had high blood pressure or they had edema, swelling, retaining water, they told folks to, cut out the salt. Cut out the salt. Don't use salt. We need salt. It is vital. However, white table salt is absolutely stripped of most of the minerals that are beneficial. It has added iodine, which we really don't need a lot of it, but we need those minerals. The best way to get those minerals is increasing your good salt intake. Whether you use Celtic sea salt, you can use Redmond's real salt also. That has a ton of minerals in it. As a matter of fact, those better salts have 5 to 7 different types of magnesium in them. So magnesium is absolutely essential. We need that to help regulate our heart rate. We need magnesium to help relax muscles. I suggest taking some magnesium before you go to bed at night. It is a natural way to help your muscles relax, help you relax and to fall asleep. Minerals are absolutely important. Now, if you are doing any work, if you're a Reiki healer, no matter what it is you're doing, the day after you have been working on somebody's hair, somebody's energy, you may literally feel a little hungover because you have given that energy away. It has pulled minerals out of your body, out of your system, because it is a change of energy, an exchange of energy. So we literally are giving them our good energy and we're pulling off some of their negative energy. So those electrolytes are very, very important the next day. Make sure you stay hydrated. I advise staying away from any bottled, prepared recovery drinks like Gatorade. It is so full of all the wrong stuff that it really isn't beneficial to us. The dyes, the wrong kinds of salt, it's got the wrong kinds of sugar in it. If you want to make yourself your own type of Gatorade, you can. Dissolve some honey in some water, add a little bit of sea salt, Celtic sea salt, or Redmond's real salt. You can add anything else to that if you want. Add some little bit of flavor, maybe a little bit of lemon. You can add a few raspberries, but you can make your own recovery fluids easier. I often do it with my tea. I add a little salt to it, a little flavoring. Sometimes if I have a little bit of apple in the house, I will literally float a chunk of apple in there just for the flavor. But our recommended daily allowances doing this kind of work is completely different. We require more vitamins and minerals. Actually, we all do. Did you know that the RDA, that is what they tell us the recommended daily allowance of vitamins are, is 100 years old? The RDA that they have on your vitamins, what they tell you how much they think you need, is 100 years old. It has never been reevaluated, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. Way back 100 years ago, they were wanting to keep nutrition quiet. They didn't want strong, healthy people. Literally, they kind of keep nutrition on a down low. That was at a point where the chemists that work for tobacco companies kind of started coming over in the 1920s and the 30s and 40s and started making food addictive. Yeah, it literally, some of that boxed stuff that some of you use, and I was guilty of hamburger helper, stovetop stuffing. I did that. I used the same stuff you guys did. And it is no longer made like it was. It's no longer safe. Everything has so many chemicals in it. Try to steer clear of those processed foods. But the RDA, when they did that research, they took people who actually were malnourished. and very skinny, very scrawny. And they gave them some vitamins. Now, the amount of vitamins they gave them was just the barest minimum to see improvement in them. So that's how much the RDA is in your vitamins. Enough to see the barest minimum of improvement. I personally, I'm just going to talk about my vitamin D. Vitamin D3, it is so important and it is very popular. It came out being more popular during COVID because it's good for the immune system. I take between 10 and 20,000 units of vitamin D3 a day. Now, at one time they told us that D3 was poisonous and dangerous. They said that about vitamin A also. Now, you can have an issue with vitamin A if you take hundreds of thousands of units of it. For the most part, if we take too many vitamins, we're just going to get rid of it in the bathroom. Yeah, you'll pee it out. It goes away. So you really cannot get too much. Potassium is important also because it's an electrolyte. I don't eat a lot of bananas anymore. I used to eat a couple bananas every day just for the potassium. However, the sugar that is in the bananas does not compensate or is not compensated by the amount of potassium. So in other words, the dangerous levels of sugar in fruit does not give us, I'm saying that backwards. The vitamins that are in fruit aren't good enough to compensate for the sugar that's in them. Let me put it that way. If you're eating fruits and vegetables, we were taught a long time ago, if you were doing this kind of work, to go natural, vegan, healthy, fresher the better. Guess what? No, not so much. Those fresh fruits and vegetables really aren't near as good for us as what we were told. We are finding this out with the high ketogenic diet, the carnivore diet. We are finding out that people are doing so much better with far less fruits and vegetables. Now, did you know that potatoes, tomatoes, and eggplant are from the deadly nightshade family? Yeah, that's why they tell us for years, as a mother and a cook, that green potatoes were toxic. That you shouldn't use green. Guess what? The whole plant's toxic. Tomatoes. I was raised in an Italian household. That's all we had was tomatoes. Tomato sauce, tomato, everything, spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, tomato sandwiches. The vitamins and the nourishment that are in those vegetables are not good enough to compensate for the toxins that are in them. And today, unless you're growing those vegetables yourself, you have no idea what's in them. I watched a video yesterday of people in the healthcare system talking about farming and where it's going, that we can actually be buying fruits and vegetables in the stores that already have medicine in them, vaccines. I'm not talking about just the insecticides and the pesticides. They can grow your fruits and vegetables with the mRNA vaccine right in it. Now, here's the bad part of that. Some of you might think that that's a good thing. At what point do you get too much of it? If you're a vegan and that's all you're eating is fruits and vegetables, at what point do you get a toxic amount of those chemicals, the the insecticides, the pesticides, the chemtrails. Some of that where people are talking about that being something to weaken us. Absolutely. With the amount of aluminum that they are spraying on us, not only does that kind of make us sick and ill when we're out in it, the next day you might feel congested, clogged up, might have a brutal sinus issue like I do from breathing those chemtrails. And it takes, you see them up in the sky, and it might take an hour or two to really dissipate and come down to the earth. But it is also toxic to the soil that we are growing our fruits and vegetables in. Not a lot we can do about that. However, at least if you grow your own, you know that you haven't put any extra pesticides and those kind of things in it. Let's jump over to the vitamin B. Vitamin B is important, especially if you're doing this kind of work. I take a vitamin B complex, and I take more than the RDAs. That's why I talk to you about the RDAs. You have to really educate yourself, see what the safe levels are, work your way up. If you're increasing vitamins in your system, you can't just bang and start taking a massive amount of vitamin B, because you'll get nauseated, and your belly will grumble. And so take your time and work your way up if you're boosting the amount of any vitamin that you're taking. Educate yourself. Vitamin B, I always associate that with B for the brain. And if you're dealing with any anxiety, any depression, especially if you do this work, it does trigger that. Increase that vitamin B. Now, I will also tell you that vitamin B should be methylated vitamin B. Methylation is just a process that kind of gets that vitamin in a better, in a kind of a better formulation, lack of a better word, and it allows our body to utilize it better when it is methylated. So I take a methylated multi-B every day. Vitamin C is important. That was one that Linus Pauling talked to us about years ago, how important it was for the immune system. All that vitamin D, it has to work with vitamin C. They have to be together in your system. You can't take one without, and you can take the one without the other, but it's not going to do any good. Certain vitamins need each other to kind of work off of and boost. Like I said, I eat very carnivore. So if you are eating grass-fed beef, there are a lot of small local butcher shops out there that do have grass-fed beef. You really don't need to take a lot of vitamins, because believe it or not, grass-fed beef provides us with every vitamin and every mineral that we need. We don't eat enough protein. That's why we don't get those vitamins and minerals. The average woman gets up in the morning and eats 2 eggs. That's only 12 grams of protein. 12, that's not a lot. We need about 60 to 80 in the course of a day. I personally eat 4 to 5 eggs in the morning. I eat a couple eggs throughout the day. I like pickled eggs. I like deviled eggs. They're high in protein. That's why all of a sudden the big shortage of eggs. They're an excellent source of protein. They do not provide all of that dangerous cholesterol that they led us to believe. Nutrition is so important. And we looked to the professionals, the dietitians, the doctors, for better advice, and they didn't have it for us. Did you know that the average doctor only needs 7 hours, 8 hours of nutritional training? That's all. That's all they're required to become licensed. They're not tops in the field when it comes to eating. The American Diabetic Association, if you eat the menu that they use, you will become a diabetic. Too many carbohydrates in there. Way too many carbohydrates. Average breakfast, my mother was diabetic, and when she came home with the menu, she was allowed for breakfast a bowl of oatmeal. Okay, there's no protein in that. Protein is what stabilizes your insulin levels, okay? She was allowed to have a piece, 1 or 2 slices of toast. I don't remember exactly. Again, more carbohydrate, no protein. A glass of orange juice is how they usually started that breakfast off to help stabilize the morning's insulin. And if they had eaten right the night before, high protein, low carbohydrate, their blood sugar wouldn't be out of whack in the morning. So do your own research if you are worried about diet and eating. Now, the biggest part of the nutritional thing is the exercise. You have to move. It is a basic physiological, biological law that you move or die. Started out back with caveman. Move or die meant dinosaur could step on you. Get out of the way. Move or die. As we have evolved into more modern man, it still is the same, because when you get older and get sedentary and don't do anything, all of those old age-related things start creeping up on us. High blood pressure, a little bit of high blood sugar. Oh, maybe your cholesterol is up. Guess what it's supposed to be? Did you know your brain is made up almost entirely of cholesterol? So when we're giving mom and dad that pill to help lower their cholesterol, we're actually setting their brain up for dementia. Do your research. Educate yourself. I'm kind of jumping all over here now. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that are vitally, vitally important besides the minerals, vitamin B, vitamin C, D3. Those are about the most important ones. And the biggest takeaway from this is you need a lot more than what it tells you. You need a lot more of those vitamins than the RDA says on the bottle. Do your research. Find out what the highest level is you can take, not the RDA. You do not want the recommended daily allowance. So do your homework on that. All right, I think I rambled on long enough. Couldn't think of anything else to add to that. But I did want to touch on how important nutrition is, how important water is, and how important you are. All right, there you have it, you guys. Just a little touch on nutrition and what we really need. And then you know that I never leave you, that I don't bless you with love and light. I will see you soon.